Welcome. Super quick. We are Easy Marketing, located outside Jacksonville in Northeast Florida, and we are we do work with digital marketing, and we do websites, we do logos, we work with constant contact, and that's what we do. So you can always reach out if you need anything of that from us. So and then if you want a freebie at the end of the show, we have something for you. So make sure to keep an eye on that. So Jessica.
But you only get it if you stick around to the end. So anyone who's here at the end gets entered into the giveaway.
Yes.
So yeah, today we're going to talk about Google My Business. And this is an essential first step in order to set up your SEO, which is search engine optimization. That's all the stuff that goes into making sure that you show up on search results. So it's an essential first step when you're even thinking about that at all. So the big question is, who needs Google My Business? Next slide.
Oh, sorry.
You're in charge. Everyone.
I thought maybe I should ask or something.
Everyone needs Google My Business because this is used across the globe for every business in every industry, honestly. So just a brief look here, if you're not familiar with exactly what a Google My Business listing is, this is the information that shows up for different businesses when you search them on Google. So for instance, this example here, we've searched Easy Marketing, and then this side panel that comes up with all this information, this is our Google My Business listing. If you don't claim your listing, Google will automatically populate this information with anything that they can find about you on the internet. So you can see here, we've got everything set up really nicely. We've got our logos and our header photos, all of our information. We manage our reviews, all of our open and closed information, and even updates that we put on there, or questions maybe that users have. This listing also is going to show up on Google Maps. So the information that you see on Google Maps for a business, and even like where the pin is located, can be controlled from your Google My Business listing.
Yeah, and this is something really important, because if you hear people trying to find your business and they say, oh, when you're driving and the instructions don't pull me to the right place, it's because that little thing is in the wrong place, and you have to have a Google My Business listing in order to like physically move that on the screen, and people are going to find you at the right address with the right driving instructions.
Mm-hmm. So the basics of Google My Business, just a few stats to throw out at you here. 90% of all searches are done on Google, so it is still on top of everything. The overall volume of Google searches that people are doing grows 10% annually, which hasn't slowed down. And another really important one to keep in mind here is 34% of near me searches result in a store visit. So when someone types in, restaurants near me, that's going to result 34% of the time of them walking into that restaurant. So that is super important, and you can't afford to miss out on that, really.
Yeah. So that's when people are sitting in the car and they are, oh yes, I need a flower shop, we are going somewhere. They put in flower shop near me, and that's, if you have a flower shop, that's where you want to pull up with the right information.
Mm-hmm. So how do you get started? That's what we are here for today to talk about. Step number one is going to be, you need to claim your listing if you haven't already. I know from our poll in the front, a lot of people in here today already have their listing, but there are quite a few here that either have no idea how to start or how to get started. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Essentially, to claim your listing, all you have to do is go and find it if it exists already, and click on this little option here that says own this business. And once you click on that, it takes you through a process of confirming that you are eligible to own the business. You can also, if maybe your listing or your business is not showing up, maybe you're brand new and Google hasn't already calibrated all your information there in kind of like a little pseudo listing, you can go to business.google.com and make sure that you're signed in with the account that you want to manage it. and you'll go through this process of finding and managing your business, or you can start from scratch as well.
And I'm sorry, Jessica, we highly recommend that you use either your business email address or that you have a Google address that is generic for your company when you use that. You should not have an employee putting in their personal email address when they set this up, because the day they leave, then your access to the account is gone.
Well, technically, I mean, you're not going to use it. It works much in the same way a Facebook page does. So if you have a Facebook page, people have access to a Google listing. So it benefits you as the owner to be the one who sets this up. Don't have like an employee do this, because like Katrine said, they will be the one who has like that primary ownership access. So you either need an agency setting it up for you, making sure everything's kosher, transferring the ownership over to you, or making sure that it's your Google account that is the main one that's setting it up to begin with. You don't know how many times we've had people come to us and not know how to get a hold of their listing because they had someone do it for them who set up some random email address and didn't know what to do from the beginning. And it's really hard to get a hold of that later on down the line. So good idea to have everything set up how you want it from the beginning.
Yeah, and if you end up in that, we can help with that. That is one of the expertise we have, and we have special relations with Google that we can get answer and help because we are a trusted partner with them.
Okay, so the basic setup. You need to claim your listing or add it, as we just discussed, and set up your basic info once you're in there. Things like your address, your contact information, maybe your website, and then set up your service location or delivery area. So if you're a brick and mortar business, you can designate that you are a brick and mortar business and people can walk in and have pictures of everything inside and everything like that. You also have the option of maybe if you're a service-based in a general area, you can put maybe a zip code in and say 50 miles within the zip code or something like that, which is very handy. You also have the option of doing kind of a hybrid of those two. So if you have a walk-in, but you're also serving a wide area, you'll show up better in searches if you make sure that you're designated correctly that way.
And we do have a question from Stephen up here. If you have a home-based business, will Google allow a Google My Business account? And absolutely, it will. It will just, you will just change that you have a service area instead of you have a little red block on the map.
Right, and
even,
then, yep, and so that'll mean you'll show up in searches when people do searches near you, but of course they're not gonna see your house and start showing up to your house, but you'll show up as a kind of general listing on those search engine results. And verification is a next process, and this is essential, and you can't skip over this because if you set up your account and you don't verify it, you're never going to show up on Google. The ways to verify, it will give you an automated process here. I can't tell you which one it's going to give you or how many it's going to give you because it changes depending on your Google status of Google, like how active you are, how long that business has been sitting out there, or if it's brand new. Once you start the process, it'll give you an option of having a postcard sent to your business address, which has like a little code on it. Some clients we've had have the option of doing just a phone verification. This is more frequent for businesses that are already established, that Google has gathered that information on, and they'll just have an auto thing call your business with a code. Sometimes they'll let you do email, and sometimes they even do instant verification. So it kind of just depends on where you are and how active you've been and your business and all of those information going together. And then I think on the next slide, we have a little example of what that postcard looks like.
Yeah, and a little bit of background here is that your information that is out there, that is on your website, that is on your Facebook, that is listed with, here in Florida, we have something called Sunbiz, where all the companies in Florida has to be registered. If the phone number is the same in all those places and the address is the same and the spelling of your company name is the same, the chance that you can do this with a phone call is much higher.
Mm-hmm. And I see Andrea here and I hope I'm saying your name right. If you has asked, what if you have more than one entity at the same address? So that gets a little tricky. Hopefully, I'm assuming you mean maybe you're like in an office building where people have different offices. If you have kind of a separate designation in terms of like suite A, you can differentiate that way. If nobody else has claimed that address, you have the possibility of maybe making sure that your business is the only one that shows up. The way I would approach that, if you don't have the ability to designate like separate suites or separate offices or something at that address, I would probably approach it by trying to register as the main address if somebody else has done that already where you're sharing the entity. Sometimes Google will let two things sit at the same address at the same time. Again, it kind of depends on their algorithms and what you're trying to do, but I would start there, see what happens if you can make it work. If that doesn't work, then I would try a different avenue. So a lot of this is just kind of testing to see
and
what's
some businesses, like I know that a doctor's office where there's a building with a lot of doctors and with real estate agents, those are two of the ones that they know this will happen and they are never going to put up a fight against you. But others, it's tricky. But we work with, if you need help, we work with you on that.
So we have another question. Well, not necessarily a question. I have an online business, so I'm assuming you're asking if you should even set up a Google listing if you have an online business, which is absolutely yeah. Once you set up your Google business, you can actually designate if it's like service-based online or not. You can take away the map entirely if you want, although it does help. I would still suggest you do like a service area because you'll show up for local people, but it's not gonna like negate you on a national or global scale if you want. So I think it's always a good idea to fill in as much information as possible because that's only going to help you. It's not going to hurt you. And then you'll have the listing as well. So you're not going to necessarily, again, you're not going to, if you do the service based, you're not going to show up on the map, but you'll be included in those searches if somebody is looking for local stuff. So, okay, tips on setup. Definitely use your logo when you go in there. I want you to fill out everything you can. Never leave anything blank. If you have the ability to fill out information, fill out that information because it's only going to help you. Photos. Google will let you upload photos of your business, photos of your employees at your business, photos of the interior, photos of the exterior. Everything that you can work this into, definitely use it. We have a lot of clients who say, I don't know what I should put pictures of, like what am I going to do? That could be things like your team. If you have maybe somebody at the front desk, take a picture of them, take a picture of your office, take a picture of like the entryway. This is really to make people comfortable with your business before they even get in the front door. So they want to, a lot of people want to know what they're walking into and they want to see what the layout is and what the setup is. And that's really the benefit here. And it's to drive home your brand overall.
And if you have an online business, you can put pictures of your products in there. Or if you're doing service, there is always something that has to do with the service that you can use photos for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And again here, fill out everything, full description. Think about the keywords that you want to be using. This should correlate with maybe the copy that you have on your website, on your homepage, on your about page. Also on other social media platforms like Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or something like that. Anywhere that you're using descriptions kind of mimic the text that you're using. You can copy it directly in or maybe adjust it a little bit. Just make sure you're hitting those keywords for your industry and maybe for like what people are searching for you. And hours. So this is really important to make sure that your hours are updated, especially now during the pandemic. We have a lot of clients who are changing hours even like weekly sometimes. So it's really important to make sure you stay up on top of that. And you know, the holidays, which is why I had that poll in the beginning, if you have different hours for the holidays, you can go in on your Google business account and confirm holiday hours. And I don't know if you've seen this, and now that I'm thinking about it, I should have done a screenshot for you. If you search on Google for a local business, maybe on Christmas Day, it will come up with a little notification on that business listing. Like if I'm looking for Target hours Christmas Day, if Target has updated their hours and confirmed their hours with Google, a little notification will come up telling me this business has confirmed that they are closed on Christmas Day. And you have the ability to do that confirmation as well, which allows people to know what they're getting into before they even go to your business. Because there's nothing worse than showing up to a business that you thought was open because of their Google listing and having them be closed. You're gonna lose so much from that. So definitely make sure you keep those up.
And the other way around, if you're open on Saturdays, if you're brick and mortar and open on Saturdays, but your Google listing says you're closed, anyone pulling up and want flowers on a Saturday, they say you're closed. They're going to go somewhere else.
And then, of course, the website URL. You have the option of popping that guy in there and verifying it with Google. So definitely make sure that you do that, because you always want people to get to your website from your Google listing. That's the ultimate goal, because then they are in your territory. Google's trying to do the best it can to keep people on Google and keep them from leaving Google to get their information. But the more you can do to get them into your sphere and into like your ultimate calling card, which is what your website is, the better. So make sure that you have that guy in there.
And it also helps your search engine optimization, SEO, that people are finding you, clicking on your website, and then staying on your website to look up information. Google kind of keep tracks of that, and they realize that your website is a good website that people go to find information. So that's going to make you float to the top when people make searches about your area or your business.
And another thing that you absolutely should be doing when you have your listing here is interacting with your audience. You need to be responding to reviews. I should have put one above here that says asking for reviews, because everyone needs this. If you are service-based or brick and mortar or nonprofit, have your people go in there and leave reviews for your business. That's going to show up. And once you get those reviews, you need to go in and respond to all of them, even the negative ones. I know it's very tempting to ignore those and pretend like they don't exist, but we cannot do that. You need to figure out a way to graciously acknowledge a negative review and move on from that. But also responding to the positive ones, I find, is really important as well, because that lets Google know that you care, and it also lets other people know that you care that are viewing your listing. So going in there and just, giving a quick thank you to people who are leaving nice reviews is really important. Making sure that you're keeping your audience updated. You do have the ability to do post updates and maybe like event notifications on Google, and those will show up on search. So that's a really valuable tool that you should be using. You can download the Google My Business app, where it makes it much more simple to respond on the go and kind of do this much more easily. And the biggest thing we can recommend is just to make a little plan to check in weekly with your listing. Maybe you have a little alarm on your phone or on your computer or email or something like that, where you just log in, take a look, see if there's any new information you need to do. Sometimes Google will suggest changes and you need to go in there and approve them. Things like the category you're listed in, or spelling, or hours, or something like that. And a lot of times people can submit these suggested changes to Google. So you need to go in there and, just make sure everything's updated. Updating your photos. Once you get those photos in there, don't just let them sit. It's a really good idea to go in and make sure that you can update those as well. So the more you're active on here, Google's algorithms are going to notice that and will push you farther up, and it's only going to benefit your business. So. And of course, our number one tip, which we just was talking about, is make sure that you update frequently. So hopefully that sticks with you and you make sure you figure out ways that you can do that. Types of monthly updates that you can do, things like holiday hours, those are always popping up. Again, I just said new photos, make sure you're updating those. Things like description updates, you can change those around a little bit. Any type of little change is going to help, because again, it's showing that you're active. Location changes, that's probably not going to change very often, but if it does, you need to make sure that you go in and verify that with your listing. And posts and events, which you can easily control. And here we're going to have a little example of posting as a Google listing. So for example, we did an event for one of our webinars, and this is where it shows up on the Google search at the bottom. So anytime you do a post, it's going to show up at the bottom there on your little card. And then people can click on it, see more information, and then you have a call to action link, which is super beneficial. So you should be adding all of these posts. If you're doing them on Facebook or something like that, make sure that you're putting them on your Google My Business as well. So what if the worst happens and you have some issues claiming your listing? Maybe somebody else has control of it. Maybe you lost the original account that was the owner, or you have maybe more than one listing and you can't straighten them out. This is where things get a little complicated, as we kind of briefly touched on earlier. If you are having any of these issues, I'm not gonna lie, like it gets hard if you have some of these issues to go in and iron it out. But that is kind of what professionals are there for, because we know the whole process of ironing it out from top to bottom. So if you are having any of these issues, please reach out to us and we will kind of try and help you work through it. Or of course you can sign up for our setup and we're going to take care of all that for you, because it is a headache. Even for us who do it all the time, it's very time consuming and it takes a lot of time, and you have to talk to Google and you have to figure out who has access and straighten that all out. Best advice I can give you is to make sure you know what you're doing from the beginning and you have it all straightened out from the beginning. So if you're starting from scratch, just make sure that you have full control and you know, and you write down who has control and record everything that you're doing on there so that you'll never lose it.
I just have patience, because it takes time, and if you're going to get the verification via a postcard in the mail, you have to make sure you get that number, otherwise you don't get control over it. So yes.
All right, so a quick recap here. Google is the top of search. Claim your listing and verify it. Fully fill out all the information that you can and keep it updated and relevant for your audience. That's all you need to remember. That being said, it was a lot of information. So if you decide that you need some help, or maybe you want to straighten it out or optimize it, we have a full Google My Business setup package where we'll go in and fully optimize everything for you. If you are interested in that, you can take a look at our pricing and more information on our website, easymarketing.com/Google-business-setup. And we would be absolutely happy to help. If
you're going to get this link in the follow-up email, and we are also going to send you the slideshow, and you are going to be able to review this presentation for the next 72 hours.
Mm-hmm. And we have been answering questions throughout, but if you have any that you want to pop in there, we're more than happy to go over them. Also, again, if you think of some throughout the day, please don't hesitate to shoot them our way, because we want to make sure that you get the most out of these webinars and this information. That being said, you can join us again in the new year on our next webinar, which is January 13th, where we're going to talk about how to create more personalized emails in order to get better results. That sign-up link is going to be in the follow-up email today. So make sure you take a look out for that and go ahead and sign up, because that's going to get you going for 2021. And if you've made it this far, that means you've been entered into our little giveaway to win a free 20-minute phone consultation with us, which we're gonna pull out of a hat later today, and you'll get a little video of Katrine in the follow-up email
Yes.
where she will tell you who won. So
yes. I'm printing out everyone that stayed the whole one, and you have small pieces of strips of paper, and I put them in the bowl, and I'm going to draw them live, or I'm going to record it and you can take a look. So
I see Ray has a question here. He has 2 locations, had to set each up separately with separate emails. Better way. Yes, there is a better way. That's complicated. You don't need a separate email each time you set up a Google listing. Again, it works like Facebook, where you have a listing and then you have people who have access to said listing. So the way this should have been done.
It's more complicated. So you can always Google that, because I'm sure Google have instructions how to do it, or we can do it for you in one of our packages. But it becomes a little bit more.
That situation does get a little complicated. You technically should have had the 2 locations with the 1 email and assign whoever is access to those. But because because it's a little more complicated now, it's going to take some unraveling and then some resetting up, so it can get a little complicated from this point. So
okay, so thank you everyone that stayed all the time, and we hope you have a wonderful holiday and new year, and we are looking forward to see you the second week in January.
yep, absolutely. Thanks everybody for attending, and yeah, have happy holidays.